Before we get started, just a quick disclaimer that this recipe originally calls for honey, but since I'm making a vegan-friendly version, I'll be modifying the sponge and using a honey alternative instead. I found this particular brand at Holland & Barrett, and I have to say it does a pretty impressive job of mimicking the rich floral sweetness of real honey as I remember it. If you're vegan, you probably already know that honey isn't considered plant-based because it's made by bees. The ethical concerns come from how commercial honey production harms bee populations. So, I've already tried 2 recipes from With Love Meghan, the one pot spaghetti and focaccia. Be sure to check out those videos on my channel if you haven't already. The final recipe that I was curious to make after watching the show was her honey lemon layer cake with raspberries from episode 1. The recipe looked simple, elegant, and bursting with bright citrus flavors, so I was excited to attempt a vegan version. The sponge itself is super easy, just a simple mix of self-raising flour, sugar, salt, vegan milk, olive oil, lemon zest, vegan honey, and a bit of vegan yogurt for added moisture. The best technique for achieving a nice fluffy vegan sponge is to mix the dry ingredients and wet ingredients separately before combining, then mixing everything gently until the batter comes together. As a side note, I ended up adding the yogurt when I realized that the batter was a bit too thick. When you're making it, you can add the yogurt with the rest of the wet ingredients. Once everything was mixed, I divided the batter into 3 separate cake tins. The cakes took about 20 to 25 minutes to bake, just long enough to turn a beautiful golden brown. While the cakes were baking, I made a lemon honey syrup, or in this case, a lemon vegan honey syrup. This step adds an extra boost of moisture and flavor to the cake layers. It's just a mix of vegan honey, lemon juice, water, and lemon zest, simmered for a few minutes and left to cool. Once the cakes were completely cool, I brushed each layer lightly but evenly with the syrup. I knew that this would give the sponge an extra citrusy kick. I also made a simple buttercream by mixing vegan butter, powdered sugar, and a pinch of salt. You can whip this up in a stand mixer or with a hand blender until it's light, fluffy, and pipeable. To assemble the cake, I started by placing the first cake layer on my stand. To create a structured filling, I piped a spiral of buttercream, leaving gaps in between, and filled those spaces in with a spiral of raspberry conserve. The great thing about this technique is that it ensures that every bite has the perfect balance of creaminess and fruity tartness. I repeated this process with the next layer, then covered the top of the cake with the rest of the buttercream and used an offset spatula to spread it out. To finish, I decorated with fresh raspberries and small basil leaves. And that was it, my vegan take on the honey lemon layer cake from With Love Meghan. The sponge was soft and citrusy, the buttercream was silky smooth, and the raspberries added a tangy contrast that tied everything together beautifully. If you're looking for a dairy-free, egg-free cake that still tastes absolutely indulgent, this is the one to try. Let me know in the comments, would you make this, and have you ever tried a vegan honey alternative? Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe because I post a new video every week, and I will catch you next time. Bye!